In this video, we'll show you Montenegro's winding roads, deep blue mountain lakes and the wild nature surrounding them, the vibrant seaside city of Kotor buzzing with life and peaceful monasteries high in the mountains. But we'll also show you the real side of long-term travel, the tricky moments, the unexpected challenges and the occasional fails along the way. Buckle up! Hey, I'm Lane, a mom, a teacher, a storyteller, and I guess somewhat also a writer, but at the same time, I am a passionate traveler, exploring new places and collecting stories wherever I go. As soon as we crossed the river Tara, and that slightly sketchy wooden bridge dividing Bosnia from its neighbor, we were officially in Montenegro. After a long morning of bouncing along gravel roads, everyone was getting pretty hungry, so the first place we headed for was restaurant Piva, right on the shore of Piva Lake. Now, Piva actually means beer in Montenegrin, but this lake had about as much to do with beer as any average lake that's not made of beer. However, it became clear pretty quickly though that Montenegro has no shortage of stunning views, and honestly, this was only the beginning. If you didn't know yet, on this trip we are with the whole family, the four of us, traveling together with our small but trusty teardrop trailer. The Piva Lake area wasn't a random place for us to enter Montenegro, we chose it for a reason. This is where the P14 begins. It is said to be one of the most beautiful roads in the country. It winds through Durmitor National Park and eventually leads to a small town near one of Montenegro's most stunning natural sights, the mountain lake Crno, Jezero. In recent history, Montenegro was part of Yugoslavia, along with many other Balkan republics. When longtime leader Josip Broz Tito died in 1980, it set in motion the process that eventually broke the country apart. In the 1990s, several republics left the federation, some through war, others peacefully. Eventually, only Serbia and Montenegro remained, forming the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Montenegro peacefully left this union in 2006, becoming an independent country. Driving along this road in Durmitor National Park truly felt like we weren't even on Earth anymore. We had actually planned to spend the night somewhere along the road, but it was the time of forest fires and the air carried a sharp smell of smoke, so we had to cancel that plan. At the same time, it somehow made the whole place feel even more mystical. At moments, it really felt like we were the Lionheart brothers from the famous Astrid Lindgren book, riding straight towards Katla's cave. We kept looking at the mountains, spotting wild horses here and there, and eventually headed toward Crno Jezero, the mountain lake where the smell of smoke didn't reach. Although the path to Crno Jezero is paved and there is a tourist restaurant by the lake, many people don't bother to walk around the lake, and that's exactly what I would recommend you do. You might even find yourselves completely alone in the middle of this lush nature, and the feeling of hiking in such a beautiful place with your family will stay with you for a long time. The main lake is about 25 meters deep, and its name, which translates to Black Lake, comes from the fact that sunlight does not reflect from the bottom. Since the lake is surrounded by dark coniferous forest, the water appears quite dark when the sun is not shining. By the lake you can go fishing for a fee, rent a boat, and of course eat at the restaurant. Sometimes even in the company of cows that wander through the forest here quite often. After a long hike back at the campsite, what more could you wish for than setting up camp with a view like this? And can you think of a better place for the kids to do their little milk and marker art trick, drawing on a cotton pad and dipping it into milk so the colors burst and swirl, or to play a game of badminton, than the spot where we ended up? The next attraction was only 20 kilometers from our campsite, the Đurđevića Tara Bridge. Although this place has also become quite the tourist trap, it is still a great spot to see the Tara Canyon, the second largest canyon in Europe. My husband points out the bridge, and legend even says that elves came down from the mountains to help people build this bridge, because it would be impossible for humans to create something so beautiful. Take a look at the bridge from a bird's eye view and decide for yourselves whether it really is the king of the Balkans. But Montenegro is still a Mediterranean country, and we also wanted to see that blue sea. Before that, I'll take you to a truly powerful place, the Ostrog Orthodox Monastery. The monastery has two parts, the lower one where sermons are held, and from there a road leads up to the upper monastery. This road is also known as a pilgrimage path. Ostrog Monastery is a place where pilgrims come from all over the world. Even though our family is not religious, at least I had my own prayers to say this time, and I believe the others in my family did too. The road eventually leads to the upper part of the monastery. An interesting fact is that although Montenegro has been devastated by many wars, the monastery has always remained untouched. The monastery is built right into the mountain, and although the remains of a saint are kept there, our family didn't stay to wait in that line. Instead, we drank a little holy water from the spring, walked around in skirts because shorts are not allowed there, and then continued our way to our next campsite. The journey to our next campsite, camping Dodosi, was pretty exciting. Along the way, we ran into a cool wild turtle, and moments like that always feel way better than seeing animals at the zoo. But while stopping along the road, we also noticed one of Montenegro's less pretty sights. There was quite a lot of trash in the nature. It is very hard to understand how people can be surrounded by such beautiful landscapes and still not appreciate them. Getting to camping Dodosi was quite an adventure. We had to cross some really narrow bridges, and honestly, without the mirror camera on our Subaru, it would have been pretty tricky. But once we arrived, the place was so interesting that we barely managed to film anything. Even though the campsite itself was quite simple, the atmosphere there was amazing. The food at a nearby restaurant was incredibly tasty. You could fish straight from the restaurant's terrace, ducks were swimming in the river, and village men were standing waist deep in the water, drinking wine and chatting. And when we walked back to the camp in the evening, we met friendly cows returning from their day out on the pastures. We would happily stayed here longer, but Kotor was already calling. Next, I'd love to show you that city, but first, our very last campsite in Montenegro, camping Agape Farmstay. This campsite is small but cool. There is a pool, and in the evenings people gather under the roof terrace for a beer and a chat. We even met one traveler there who had a small trailer very similar to ours. It all felt like the perfect setup for a good day in Kotor the next day, but little did we know. When we went out to restock some supplies, it started to rain. We had forgotten to lower one corner of our awning, and by the time we got back, the collected rainwater had collapsed it. At first, it looked pretty hopeless, but luckily my husband is an engineer. Within a couple of hours, he had visited a local hardware store and managed to patch the awning up with whatever tools and materials he could find there. Thanks to that quick fix, our trip and our visit to Kotor could continue. When it comes to Kotor, the Bay of Kotor is often called the southernmost fjord in Europe. And honestly, if you didn't know where you were, the scenery could easily remind you a bit of Norway. But to get down to the city, we once again had to drive along a very narrow mountain road, but the city we finally reached was definitely worth it. Kotor is such a cool, compact medieval harbour town. On one side it's wrapped in city walls, and on the other there's a rocky cliff with Kotor Fortress perched at the top. The town is packed with narrow streets full of shops, markets and little restaurants. But the absolute stars here are the Kotor cats. The town is even called the Cat Town, and yes, there's a cat museum too. Back in the day, these cats saved Kotor from rodents, and ever since they've been totally respected by the locals. All over town you'll spot tiny cat houses, and honestly, these cats are the real bosses of Kotor. Even though Kotor had plenty of places to eat, for our wedding anniversary the next evening, we ended up at a seaside restaurant recommended by our campsite owner. It was a bit outside from Kotor and called Grispolis. The views were stunning, the seafood came fresh every morning from local fishermen, and the atmosphere was incredibly authentic. 5-star service all around. Somehow it just tied our whole Montenegro experience together perfectly. We hope this video gave you a little glimpse of what Montenegro was like for us. It wasn't about the most famous or must-see places, just the places we discovered, chose to visit, and the moments that shaped our family's experience in this beautiful country. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to support what we do, Buy Me a Coffee is a creator support platform where you can make a small donation. Our journey continues in the next video, this time in Albania. We'll show mountains, hiking trails, beach days, and also some of more challenging moments you might experience there. But that's a story for the next episode. We'll see you again soon. If not out on the trails, then at least here on YouTube.